And welcome. This is just a quick overview of what we've been basically up against here. This particular boat came to us. As you can see, we've got some plate work that we've installed in the hull, port and starboard, approximately 30 inches high and about 23 feet long. The reason for this is they had an exhaust system. External exhaust boxes were improperly fabricated, and in 5 years, the superheated gases that were coming out were not isolated properly, so we had to remove all the plate and replace with new material. While in there, we fortified it and added it a little bit thicker. The actual hull is 190 thousandths. We went back with 0.250, which is a little bit heavier to kind of give them a little more fortification in this zone. We're putting in all new exhaust system now as we speak. The plate work, everything has been done to code regs as far as the ABS standards. We've got everything fitted in. We've tested everything with a I'd say CryCheck product. Everything's been dye penetrated, all the welds have been tested, and we're in the process now of doing a hydro test on that as well. So we'll make sure before any paint work that everything is 100% solid.
Timmy will probably flip-flop. We'll go to that side and put that.
This here is the cover plate. As you can see, this plate is going to be the final access. We're going to take this plate and it gets welded onto this zone 100%. Then we close this off and gasket it, and then we'll pressure test this to 3.5 pounds of pressure, maintain pressure for 24 hours, and then we'll sign it off and be ready for fuel. There's about 600 gallons of fuel that go in here, so you've got about 4,500 pounds of weight. So it's important that all the weldments and everything are tested, double tested. Then we do a leak check over the whole system, this whole zone, inside and out again, just to make sure when we get off the boat that it's sound and it's tight and it's ready to go. Well, the purpose of this is to give you an idea of the finished work. We're just about done with this project. It's taken us about 6 weeks. We're about 4 days over schedule, but they had added some additional work, so to stretch it out a little bit, we're anxious to get this job finished and back in the water. Right now you can see there is a dye penetrant. That pink stuff is actually a dye that we spray on. Then we put a developer on the outside. And what it does is called CryCheck Magnaflux, which draws the dye penetrant. If there's any imperfections in the weldment or anywhere around any porosity, it'll draw right through and show up on the outside of the hull bright pink, so that we can make sure there's no imperfections. We do a dye penetrant. Obviously it's welded on the inside first, then we go on the outside and we back chip into those welds. We grind and cut into those welds so that we then weld it from the outside, make sure that we have 100% penetration. Then we do the CryCheck dye penetrant. Then after that we do a hydro test, which is a 3,500 psi pressure washer, and we move on the same speed that the weld was placed. We put a man on the inside and a man on the out. And that way you can inspect them. The 3,500 psi simulates the hull pressure if the boat was in the water. So we make sure, double sure, that there's no leaks or imperfections in anything that we put in. And along with that, we can see we've also got a fixture placed in here now. We're putting the exhaust system back together. This is the exit for the exhaust, so it has to be specifically back in line where it was. So we made a simple target system using the framing of the boat on the transverse frames, and we mechanically fastened that in place to simulate the exterior pipe outside of it. So now we've placed a new piece of 10-inch tube, 5086 tube in place. We're getting the process of tacking that in, then we'll do the weldment, doublers, and fortify it so that it can withstand the heat and the vibration. That's the goal. All right, the purpose of this again is another phase of the project here on the Baglietto. What we had to do here, this little room, we had to remove most of this and go up inside. Underneath forward of us is the chain locker. This would be the collision bulkhead, would be behind these panels. At this point, what we did was we removed the top deck, the actual existing plate. What we found was it was so corroded and fatigued, and it was improperly supported. The windlass goes up there, which is part of the anchoring system. So when the boat is on the hook, all the weight, the entire boat relies on 6 bolts and this windlass and what it's mounted to. So what was happening is the boat, every time it would go up and down from the sea, the elevation would pull on the chain, consequently creating the decks to flex. When the deck flexed, it blew the teak apart, and they had a lot of leaks and a lot of issues with the boat. So what we did was remove all the affected areas, and then went inside and fortified it. The frames, we had to re-weld some of the frames, replace some of the frames in transverse frames and longitudinals. With that, we introduced a piece of 3/4 inch thick aluminum plate, 5086 aluminum plate, approximately 3.5 feet by 2 feet wide, and made that tie in as a doubler, so it gave us some integrity. That way we were able to tie the collision bulkhead, the forward chain locker bulkhead, and the longitudinals and framing all in, tie it all in and weld it into this piece, giving us continuity of structure. That way when the boat's pulling, now it's pulling on the entire framework of the boat. We've transferred that load to the boat properly, which it needed it badly. So all that's done, and now they've gone ahead and fared over and they're putting the teak back down. They'll be able to mechanically fasten that in, and they should have no more problems with this zone.